Well, in a year of tough social distancing and keeping apart, two planets dare to be different.
It's kind of nice. Tonight, meteorologist Angela Huddy is live at the St. Louis Science Center with the spectacular sky event that's underway. Angela.
Yeah, Mandy and Vic, it's all about looking up, and we've been doing it all summer at Jupiter and Saturn. And I want you to look up just above the moon here tonight. You can see them in that night sky. These two planets, these giant planets, are going to be the closest they've been in just a few days. It's been hundreds of years.
Throughout the year, the two biggest worlds in our solar system have been putting on a show in the southern sky.
Each night, we've been watching as Jupiter and Saturn have been getting closer and closer together in our sky. And it's coincidentally on the first day of winter, or the winter solstice, we get to see them meet.
It's called a conjunction. In the case of Jupiter and Saturn, a great conjunction.
Really, what makes this conjunction great is its rarity. Given the speed that it takes for Jupiter and Saturn to orbit the sun, they only meet in the sky like this every 20 years.
The vibrant meetup is easily visible in the evening sky over the next 2 weeks, culminating on the night of December 21st.
The two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, will only be about 1/10 of a degree apart in our sky. And what makes that so amazing is no one alive today has ever seen Jupiter and Saturn that close before.
Some say it's the closest alignment since 1623. Others say 1226.
It's a little bit of a mystery exactly what they're going to look like when they're this close. Some people argue you might still see two pinpoints of light being the two planets, depending on your eyesight. Other people, you might see just one point of light in the sky. And
if you have binoculars or a telescope, a closer look will mean something special.
The real showstopper is getting to see the rings of Saturn and some of Jupiter's moons in the eyepiece of a single telescope.
And no worries, no great calamity in the heavens in 2020.
We've had people ask, are the planets going to crash into one another or something like that? But it's important to remember that from our perspective, while they're going to look really close, there's still, over 450 million miles separating the two planets.
Pretty far apart. Now, that is Jupiter there, kind of.
To see the great conjunction. This is going to be the best one in hundreds of years. This is what we're going to do here. At sunset on the 21st, which is the winter solstice, you want to look south-southwest along the horizon. And this will be visible up to an hour after sunset. Jupiter and Saturn will be so close together, they will appear almost as one bright object. To help yourself out see this and really take it in, you want to use a pair of binoculars, a telescope if you have one, or even a zoom lens on your camera. It will help see the separation of the two. You might even be able to see moons of Jupiter. This is the best viewing conditions in nearly 800 years. They've already been getting closer. Days ago, we saw images like this, Saturn and Jupiter getting closer and closer together. But folks, on the 21st, it will be spectacular. They will almost appear as one.
others represent planets as well, but this particular part of the puzzle pertains to a precise planetary position. Jupiter and Saturn in conjunction.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, historically, Harry, when Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct, there are enormous shifts in power and fortune. Jupiter being expansive in its influence, Saturn contracted. Conjunction suggests a state of intensification, concentration. What this indicates to me is the potential for explosive change, good and bad.
Hi, and welcome to 2020. Now, for the last few years, I and many others have been predicting that the year 2020 will be a year of many great changes. Many of us have even gone as far as predicting that there may be a somewhat supernatural event on a very specific date that will affect us all mentally, emotionally, and physically. The projected date of this specific event is the 21st of December, 2020. I suppose the next logical question anyone would ask is, why 2020? Specifically, why the 21st of December? Now, before I directly address that question, I'd just like to point out that this so-called astrological event that will herald in change is not particularly just a one-time, one-day event. It is a process that is building up to that date and has already begun. It began in 2012, reached its midpoint in 2016, and will end with a great grand spectacle in 2020, hence the term 2020 vision. Now, it's no secret that over the last few years, particularly since 2012, there has been a dramatic increase in new technology, information, and knowledge in all aspects of our collective reality here on Earth. From the rise of cryptocurrency rivaling traditional fiat money, technology that seems to be exponentially rising year by year. Then there's the rise of veganism and other less mainstream diets and health protocols, as well as spirituality making a comeback in opposition to traditional religious narratives. Not forgetting, of course, the rise of alternative sciences questioning the modus operandi. The geocentric flat Earth versus the heliocentric globe Earth debate as a good example. And finally, I think it's safe to say, increasingly, there is political and social chaos in all countries, communities, and cultures on Earth. I'm sure many of you will agree that today's world seems completely upside down, confused and chaotic, with all these rapid changes happening so quickly at the same time. Many of these changes have been largely instigated with the advent rise of the internet, which has allowed us to seek and share information more rapidly, openly, and widely than ever before in modern human history. The word apocalypse is derived from the Greek word apokalypsis, meaning uncovering. We could say an apocalyptic event is one that uncovers, discloses, unveils, or reveals that which has been hidden. We are all currently going through an apocalypse that began in 2012, just like the Mayans predicted, and will end in 2020, after which a new chapter in human history will begin. So now we ask, how on earth could the ancient Mayans have predicted something so far ahead in the future? The answer is simple. Well, astrology. Astrology is simply the reading and logging of the astral cycles and patterns of our sun, moon, planets, stars, and all other celestial bodies. Knowledge of the cyclical patterns of the heavens allows us to better understand cycles and patterns of natural phenomenon as well as human behavior here on Earth. Most ancient cultures knew that we humans here on Earth were directly affected by the celestial energies and cycles of the heavens. they also understood that everything on Earth and in our universe is cyclical and not linear. There is nothing new under the sun. That which has happened before will happen again. The ancients knew that planets, stars, and other such celestial bodies all carry their own unique individual energy signatures that inadvertently affect us as humans here on Earth. This is why the sun makes us feel a certain way at certain times of the year, and the moon affects us in certain ways depending on its phases. When the sun is at its peak on a beautiful summer's day, we humans release copious amounts of melatonin, which generally makes us happy. And when there is a full lunar moon at certain times of the year, humans release copious amounts of serotonin, which can make us behave like, well, lunatics. This is true of all the other planets, stars, and celestial bodies. All the heavenly energy bodies subconsciously affect us all, individually and collectively, at certain times of the day, month, year, season, decade, century, millennium, or cosmic age. Knowing which planets and stars release which energies at certain times allows us to preempt and understand human conscious behavior and progression now and in the future. That's the beauty of astrology. It shows us cycles, and cycles help us to predict the future. Everything in our universe is connected, from the microcosm to the macrocosm. As above, so below. As within, so without. So what does the year 2020, specifically the 21st of December, have to do with all of this? Well, everything. Let me explain. If human conscious behavior here on Earth is cyclically mirrored to astrological cycles and phenomenon, then all we have to do to predict the future is understand which astral cycles affect humans, how and when they happen. When a planet or star constellation is at its peak energy release for us humans to subconsciously receive, we say that planet or star constellation is exalted. When certain planets and stars are exalted, at the same time, we say they are conjunct. The more exalted planets and star constellations are in conjunction at the same time, the more influential those energies will be for us here on Earth. Now, not all planets and stars project the same amount of energy. Some planets and stars are more powerful than others. In our known universe, the planets Saturn and Jupiter are both extremely powerful energies. When these two planets are in conjunction, this is known as a great conjunction. At certain cyclical times, great conjunctions can be so powerful that they create celestial phenomenon. These celestial phenomenon are what we might call cosmic events. Cosmic events rarely happen. For one to happen, many other varying planets and stars have to be aligned at specific places at the exact same time as a great conjunction. The most famous cosmic event on Earth is of course the historic Great Deluge, or biblical flood, that many historians, mythologies, and religions still talk about to this day. Such phenomenon usually occurs at the end or beginning of large cosmic cycles. Naturally, as above, so below, these celestial events, when they do happen, have a direct, almost instant impact on us here on Earth. The bigger the celestial event, the bigger the conscious and physical impact we experience. Right now, as you listen to this, we are all experiencing the end of a cosmic cycle. How do I know? Well, it's written in the stars. astrology. The planets and stars are shifting into dramatic positions, and these celestial dramas are reflecting here on Earth as political, financial, social, and cultural chaos. This current dramatic shift we're experiencing will rapidly accelerate during the course of 2020 and will end with a dramatic closing scene. This closing scene is the main event, which will happen on the 21st of December 2020. So, let's now walk through the 2020 celestial script. Let's start from the beginning of 2020. From January until December 2020, we will experience the very rare triple conjunction of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. These three planets are super energy planets, so for them to conjunct 3 times in 1 year is huge, to say the least. According to astrologers, the last time Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto were conjunct in Capricorn was in 1894 BCE, just over 3,000 years ago. And now it's about to happen again in 2020. The 1894 BCE triple conjunction is said to have triggered the birth of the great empire of Babylon and the Sumerian people that went on to rule and dominate the world for many millennia after. And now, in 2020, more than 3,000 years later, we will experience yet another great triple conjunction. However, unlike the triple conjunction that birthed Babylonia 3,000 years ago, which lasted only a few months, the coming Capricorn trifecta in 2020 will last almost an entire year. As you can see, for these Titan energies to meet 3 times in 1 year is super rare. It marks significant and great change